Well, hey, friends.
Hey,
This is your work friends. Friends.
France. We're keeping that in.
Well, hey, friends. I'm Mel,
And I'm Francesca.
and we are two HR leaders with no filter exposing the stuff you need to know about work. We're here, a new week, new headlines, talking about stuff. Francesca, what are you talking about today?
Yeah, I'm talking about the uptick in CEO confidence and what that means for all of us. Mel, what are you talking about today?
Oh,
Yeah,
awesome. I am going to talk about the cost of return to office.
I'm curious about that. Plus, we have a fun, cool hot job that we found. So, hot
Well,
jobs.
it is really my
Yeah,
new favorite thing. Well,
let's get
let's
into it.
I'd love to start with the pessimistic thing so we can end on an optimistic thing.
Oh, let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay. So I was reading Fortune Mag online, and the big headline was employees are spending the equivalent of a month's grocery bill on
Oh,
return to office,
oh, yikes.
and they're growing more resentful. Understandable.
Yeah, that's
Understandable.
kind of a chunk of change. I spend a lot on
Yeah.
groceries. So, yeah, that would
Yeah,
be
it makes me
significant.
nervous a little.
Yeah.
That obviously sent me down more research here. Better Up conducted a survey recently, and part of that survey included some numbers on the number of primary remote roles that have now since moved to return to office, whether that's hybrid or fully back in the office. And believe it or not, 50% of what was once primarily remote has moved to RTO.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I understand if we're going from COVID to now, but that still feels very large.
It's large. It went 2 extremes. We're all remote, now we're back.
Yeah.
1 out of 4 businesses are citing the reasons for this are improved connection, culture, and employee morale. But there's 2 sides to this coin because the other side of this are people who are experiencing it, employees. Fortune Magazine conducted their own survey with 1,400 professionals who since returned to office in some capacity or the other. And they found that employees who have been mandated to return to office have a higher rate of burnout, a higher rate of stress, and have higher turnover intentions. So they
Ooh,
plan to quit.
I'll tell you something. Anytime I've ever been mandated to do something, it
Mhm.
kind of feels kind of ick, doesn't it?
It does, it does. It's
Yeah.
all in the delivery. So, they noted if that return to office transition isn't handled with a higher level of humanity, sensitivity, empathy, what they're finding is workplace culture suffers significantly, and the workforce sense of belonging
Mm.
plummets. And you talked about this a few episodes ago, but the
Yeah.
number one thing that's needed is belonging.
Belonging.
One of the
Yeah.
most important pieces of work. I think,
Yeah.
look, you're an organization, you're hiring professionals for a reason because you trust they bring skills and experience and they're grown-ups and can handle and manage their work. If your returning to office is a form of control to ensure you see them, that's not the same as providing an improved workplace culture. That's not improving relationships, and it's certainly not going to improve morale. And so I think if you're an organization considering RTO or you've already brought that in, time to check in on those 3 buckets and see, how are we doing in these 3?
I think what's really hard is we all got used to working from home and seeing what we could accomplish when we worked from home. A lot of people outperformed their
Mhm.
years prior as well. So it felt like remote was working. And then I know we've talked about this before, but to have this flip of now we're mandating you back. I'm very curious to know what employee has to cover to return to work if they're mandated back on Monday through Thursday or Monday through Friday, because of employees have to feel like they have to pay out of pocket to keep their
Right.
job. I
Yeah,
understand why burnout would go up.
let's get to the juicy part of the headline, bank accounts, because they started with the financial, but I wanted to start with the other pieces because there's clearly a physical, mental, emotional, and financial impact to this. Bank accounts. The average employee returning to the office spends $561 per
Oh,
month on transportation,
Mhm.
additional child or pet care, and any sort of domestic assistance. So things like grocery delivery potentially, or you need to send your laundry out because you don't have time to throw it in between meetings for 15 minutes, or
Gotcha.
you're paying for lunch now that you normally would just make at home or a cup of coffee. All of these things are starting to add up. And that $561 a month is comparable to the average two-person household's grocery bill in the US for their entire month. So people are paying to work, or at
Yeah.
least feel like they're paying to work. And if you're paying to work, I wanna feel good about where I work.
Yeah. When you think about that number, another just fun fact, that's like a $45,000 car. You could lease you could lease a pretty nice car. You could lease in like an Audi, like an A4 or an A3 for that.
Right.
Is
Right,
that
that's what you're
yeah.
asking the folks. Needless to say, this is an ongoing discussion. Return to office is a hot topic, but to your
Okay.
good point, we've talked about this before. If you're mandating and it's not a thoughtful reason for bringing people together, and you know this,
Yeah.
if there is research that shows getting together is valuable. It does increase work satisfaction. It does improve working relationships, but that's if it's done well.
Yeah.
If done poorly, which these mandates, we've seen them, right? Like the threats, you'll get fired or you will get promoted, or key cards being scanned daily to see when you check in and out. That's a category of done poorly. And what Better Up and the University of California conducted a study, and they found when this is done poorly, that's what's causing resentment, which leads to that turnover. And turnover, your highest expense, covering
Yeah.
that turnover, having to hire new people. So it does actually hurt business bottom line, and businesses should care about it.
Yeah. It's fascinating.
We get it, not every job allows you to work from home, but there are a lot of jobs that it can work really well.
Once we can figure out the sweet spot for we get
Right.
together when it feels really good to get together and we have a good purpose for it and we
Yeah,
trust work remotely when they need to work remotely. Like we pick where and when depending on what we're doing and we trust each other to do it. That to me feels like the sweet spot. Doing that on scale as an organization, it's been done, but it takes quite a bit of trust and it takes an engineered culture to do it.
it has
It's
to
just
come from the top.
yeah.
Yeah, has to come from the top. So we'll see.
Yeah.
RTO is continuing to be an interesting topic. Hey, listen, if any of you out there are listening to this episode and your organization is doing this really well,
Yeah.
we want to hear about it. Let us know. Join us in our LinkedIn group. Send us an email, friend@yourworkfriends.com, and tell us the story. We're happy to share it because we do want to highlight those businesses that are doing this right. Let's talk about CEO optimism.
Well, for the first time in 2 years, optimism outweighs pessimism among CEOs, which is pretty cool thing. Listen, I was looking for good news. I will try to. This isn't confirmation bias. I don't know what the hell this is. I was just looking for good. I was
I
looking
love
for
it.
good work news. Like
I love
there's got
that
to
you
be
look for
something.
good news.
Why?
I
Thank
mean, we
you.
need a little good news these days.
We need a little good news, and there's always
Yeah.
good news, but sometimes it's kind of nice to know. Is
Yeah.
this getting better? Is this getting worse? Right? The conference board does this thing called the measure of CEO confidence. It's a quarterly report where they're looking at how are CEOs feeling about the economy and what are they planning on in the next 6 months in the next year in terms of spend and in terms of capital investment, employment, wages, etc. I always think this is a really interesting thing to look at because just like you manage your own budget, you are taking into account things like how is the economy? How's inflation? Do I have a big trip coming up? All this good jazz. Well, CEOs do the same thing, right? In terms of how they're going to manage a business. They're looking at what's happening. How confident do I feel about money that's going to be coming in? How confident do I feel about things happening in the ether to start to save? All this happy jazz. If you're not familiar with the conference board, they're a think tank. They also do a lot of organizational boards as well. They have one for CEOs, CMOs, CLOs. You and I have been part of
Yeah.
conference boards before. They're entrenched in a lot of major organizations. So they do have a very good pulse on what's going on in businesses. And they have a pretty good pulse on the CEO confidence.
That's great. Okay.
Yeah. All
Okay.
right. I got a little bit more news. I'm going to unpack this a little bit. And I also want to talk about why this might be cool for employees. All right. So at 53% favorability in terms of the economy, it was at 46%. So we see this bump up 46% last quarter. It's now at 53, which is huge. Again, the first time in 2 years that it's been above 50.
Yeah, and 7% increase in just 1 quarter is not a small increase.
Not a small increase. A couple of other things to look at in terms of this optimism about the economy. One, 32% of CEOs said economic conditions were better than compared to 6 months ago.
Okay.
Just last quarter, only 18% of CEOs said that. So we've gone from 18 to 36%, massive jump up there, which is
Mhm.
huge. 36% of CEOs expected economic conditions to improve over the next 6 months. Again, that's up from 19%.
Yeah, those are all big jumps
Big
in
jumps.
in
So
key categories. Really good news.
it's very good news. They're saying, listen, last 6 months, better. Looking forward the next 6 months, feeling really good about that in these statistically significant jumps. And
Yeah.
again, first time in 2 years. So we're seeing this turnaround. Why this is important for employees because of this kind of confidence or this optimism. 35% of CEOs expect their workforce to expand over the next 12 months.
Okay.
That's exciting. 72% of CEOs expect wages to increase by at least 3%. And that last thing I want to share here is that most CEOs are not planning to revise their capital spending. And this was an interesting data point because what that means, we're not going to go whole hog on throwing a lot of money into new ventures or new buildings, et cetera. We're going to invest those monies in keeping our labor.
That's a good sign with all the recent layoffs and everything else. That's a good sign for people to feel the retention of employees.
Yeah,
Right.
agree. Agree. I know for some of you that have had micro recessions in tech or in finance where we've seen layoffs, that might feel not true to your story. Think about this though in aggregate, because there have been industries like healthcare, like hospitality, like travel and leisure that have had booms. So this again is looking at the
The whole
economy in
picture.
aggregate. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's looking good. So are we out of the woods? Not yet, but we're getting there. It'll be interesting to look at next quarter. And also, Mel, want to remind you, do you remember what I told you when I found out that the Pantone color of the year was peach fuzz? Remember when this was in December or something? I said, what did I say? What did I say, Mel?
You said we're about to have a hot girl summer.
Hell yeah. And this confirms that we're all about to have hot girl summer. Listen, inflation's going down, interest rates steady or they're going down, CEOs feeling good. You know what that says? Hot girl summer.
Hot girl summer. We're gonna have a
Thank you
good
for
time.
coming to my TED Talk.
This is good news. And to your point, I'm sure for a lot of people who've been impacted by layoffs, this is eye roll material, I'm sure, for them, or it can feel that way because it's super personal. But this does take into account the bigger picture, which is so important. So this leaves me feeling a bit more optimistic.
Yeah. Hot
Yeah.
girl summer. Yeah.
Girl summer.
Mel, what's this week's hot job?
Oh my gosh, I had the best time researching this week, the hot jobs, and I was on Indeed and
Indeed.
found
Indeed, you were.
I indeed was on Indeed looking for this. There is a digital marketing firm out of, Santa Monica, California
Mhm.
called
I love Santa Monica, by the way. Have you ever been there?
I have not, but I really would love to visit. I've seen photos of the pier and would really just like to bum around for a bit.
Shout out for Stella Rosa Pizza. That's the first place I ever had burrata,
Ooh,
just so
okay.
everyone knows. Okay,
Gonna
go
add it
ahead.
to my list. So in Santa Monica, there is this digital marketing agency called King Kong.
Hell
Already love
yeah.
it.
Hell
Already love
yeah.
it. And they had a couple of really funny positions. What stands out to me is always these job titles, which I'm like, let you know what? Hell yeah, let's have fun at work. Let's get creative. Let's not be boring. And
Why
this was
not?
right up my alley. So they had two roles. I'm gonna read one of them if that's okay, if everyone indulge me in reading this job description. The first one was sales beast. Can you guess what's a sales beast?
just
killing it.
going huge into sales all
Yeah.
day, like ABC always be closing. I guess
Yeah.
that's about a
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
So this role is sales beast slash obviously business development manager. I'm sure they were like, probably should
Parentheses.
be a little professional here and add that in. Pay is between 200 and 250K a year.
I'm seeing
It
you.
does say it's a contract job, so maybe it's
Yep.
flexible. But the funniest part is this description. Can I read this description to you?
I please do.
Dear sales beast,
Mm.
I know you're tired of the cold call, tired of getting hung up on time after time, having door after door slammed in your face. Or I'm wrong. Maybe you're some strange lizard person who enjoys that stuff. And if you're a lizard person, then I'm sure you also enjoy reading job ad after job ad. Reading, you will have proficiency in handling a high volume of leads and multitasking effectively over and over again. Boring. So let's cut the shit. Hit the free throw and get those other listings in the bin. Sir Siri, cue world domination music. Who are we, may be asking? We're a digital marketing agency that's damn good at getting our clients more clients. But we're nothing without 85 of the most passionate marketing lunatics you've ever seen. Think of the TV show The Office, but instead of Dwight and Angela being weird, think more staplers and jello. I mean, I can talk about the Australian Financial Review Awards we won for best places to work, but the proof is in the pudding. Check our LinkedIn or Glassdoor and see the vibes for yourself. Wait, what? Are you still reading? You're a hard sell. It's time. I know it's time. Write that juicy cover letter and hit apply already. Tell me about yourself. No, not the fact that you played college football or you love baking on the weekends. Tell me the details, your reason for why. Why you wake up and do this shit for fun. The bone marrow of sorts. Still not sold? Sound like it's time to check those benefits out. Good luck.
God.
Good luck. I think this is such an awesome job. Like, come on.
Yeah. Two
Come
thoughts.
on.
Whoever's writing that copy just needs a promotion. And
That's
anytime cut the
kiss.
shit is in a job description, that's just, yeah. I
Or
love it.
why you wake up and do this shit for fun. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, that let's have some real conversations in the job
Yeah.
process. I love this. I love the whole vibe of this. They also have a Yoda of YouTube job available. So we'll link to both of those jobs in the show notes. If you're interested, go get them. Enjoy. King Kong, bravo.
Oh, jeez. The shit. I need a hat that
Yeah,
just says cut the shit.
cut the shit. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that term. All right.
Yeah.
King Kong.
Yeah. King Kong. It's doing
All
it.
right.
They're cutting the shit.
Good. Well, it was awesome to chat with you today.
Awesome to chat with you too.
We're stoked to come back Thursday.
We have guest speaker Brett Trainer joining us. He is the leader of the Corporate Escapee podcast and initiative. You can find him on TikTok and LinkedIn. And he is on a mission to convert 10,000 plus people to corporate escapee life, meaning if you're into gigs and gig work, freelance, being a single Pringle, as Francesca likes to say, he's going to give some really interesting information about how to get started and how to be successful.
Yeah. Can't wait.
All
Can't
good
wait.
stuff.
Thanks so much for joining us today. Like and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. You can come over and say hi to us on the TikToks and LinkedIn community. Hit us up at yourworkfriends.com. We're always posting stuff on there. And if you found this episode helpful, share with your work friends.
Bye,
Thanks, friend.
friend.